Hello everyone, welcome back to the Smurfygurly channel. So today I'm taking over for a few minutes because having witnessed some of the recent live streams on Claire's channel, I decided she needs a bit of a detox. So I've sent her out into the garden and we'll let her come back in a few moments or a few minutes to tell you about her favourite Zoologist fragrances for the springtime. So I've got 5 in total here that I want to share with you. So of course Zoologist, a very well-known brand amongst fragcom enthusiasts, and some remarkable fragrances, some of which are really going to be great for the springtime if you're daring enough to wear. They're very artistic and unusual, but sometimes very, very beautiful and totally wearable fragrances. But this is very much not your mainstream kind of perfumery. So let's get stuck into it. So my first choice actually is probably maybe my favourite for springtime from this brand, and that is Dodo. So Dodo from Zoologist, I think, might be one of the few that's based around an extinct animal. Of course, there was Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T-Rex, wasn't there? But yeah, this is the other one from about an extinct creature. Dodo is an aromatic fougere fragrance, and of course that's a kind of old school fragrance, so maybe that's the little joke there that the dodo's extinct, and the aromatic fougere perhaps worn by the nearly extinct people like me who like fougere fragrances. It doesn't smell like your mainstream aromatic fougères like Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent or Hubigant's Fougère Royale, but it's got a sort of a hint of that kind of green mossiness that we enjoy in those fragrances. Notes on this one: we've got fern, lime, lychee, raspberry, ambergris, fir balsam, geranium, rose, amber, feathery musk, oak moss, patchouli and sandalwood. Great illustration on the bottle. And it's really interesting because of that lime and lychee and raspberry. It's got this nice zesty, fruity burst in the opening, maybe a bit like some of the berries that the dodo might have been foraging for on Mauritius before it became extinct. And then in the base you've got a very green and leafy and slightly earthy kind of dry down. Very, very complex. If you like your aromatic fougere fragrances, well worth trying this one, although I think it's more symbolic name, aromatic fougere, for this one, and the actual fragrance itself so unique that it's very, very hard to categorize. Great performance, really, really unusual smell, but very, very likable. Bright, fruity, a little bit zesty, sort of leafy and foresty, and a little bit of a hazy, feathery kind of musky note under there as well. Very, very pleasant, very fresh, and a real great one. And I actually find that relatively unisex, surprisingly. Moving on then. One that came out, I think in 2018? I'm not sure, or maybe 2019, was Squid. And Squid is a really, really interesting one. Obviously, very quirky title for a fragrance. Great illustration. Again, we've got the travel size here. It's sort of an ozonic and aquatic fragrance, but as only zoologists could do it. So this is the zoologist answer to Acqua di Gio, I guess, from Giorgio Armani. And yeah, it doesn't smell much like that. Although it does have this similarly aquatic type of air about it. The juice colour has this very, must be a dye that they've used to get that nice kind of bright blue synthetic colour. And some of the notes, in fact all of them, will be amyl salicylate, I do not know what that is, pink pepper, ink, incense, opoponax, sea salt, ambergris, benzoin and musk. So this one, very, very complex again. It has a certain sweetness, definitely an airy, ozonic and aquatic feel. A literal kind of spray coming off the sea kind of vibe is what I get off this one, which is really nice, really invigorating, and would be great for spring or summer. And it's good. I wouldn't say I pick up on an ink note, but maybe there's this kind of tea or metallic kind of accord in there that you could, there's a vague reminiscence maybe of Silver Mountain Water by Creed, but you know, not very close to that. Really, really interesting, really bright, ozonic and aquatic. They're only one that you could describe in any way as being a sea-like or ozonic fragrance, and I find that a perfect one for spring, and very, very wearable actually. Some of the zoologists are challenging. That one, not too much. So I really like that one. Next up, what do we have next? This one I think is a bit challenging. Elephant. So this is supposed to symbolise a herd of elephants stampeding through a forest, and it kind of successfully does that. We've got tree leaves, these are the notes, Darjeeling tea, magnolia, cocoa, there's coconut milk, incense, jasmine, woody notes, amber, musk, patchouli, sandalwood, and that's it. Very much an oriental forest is what I envision when I smell this fragrance. It's green, it's leafy, it's earthy, it's got a certain sweetness and exoticism and something of the Far East Maybe it's an Indian elephant rather than African one. I can't tell from the size of the ears there. That's how you tell, isn't it? Really, really interesting stuff. Very potent again. Some similarities maybe with Dodo in that it's got a kind of green feel, but more of an oriental kind of undertone with this one for me, and very, very probably polarizing. Great performance. Nothing really unpleasant that's going to put anyone off, but it's not the kind of thing you expect when you open a perfume bottle. But if you're daring, I think that could be a great choice. We've got 2 left, and the next one is Macaque. So I haven't mentioned all the perfumers on these, but this is from the perfumer Sarah McCartney, great English perfumer, and a really interesting one, this one. So the macaque monkey is the theme for this one. I will list the notes. We've got cedar, green apple, red mandarin, frankincense, galbanum, honey, rosewood, ylang-ylang, jasmine, tea, cedar, moss, green tea, white oud and musk. This conjures up, if elephant was an exotic or oriental type of forest, this one is a beautiful oriental garden in a bottle to me. It's got really, really beautiful floral tones. Somehow I kind of visualize bamboo, although I don't think that's a listed note. Yeah, very nice florals, a sweetness about the fragrance, this hint of incense, kind of a Japanese garden. Do macaques live in Japan? I'm not sure, but I'm thinking Japanese, and looking at the clothing of the monkey, he's wearing, I think, Japanese clothing. So it's an exotic, oriental, beautiful spring garden in a bottle in this one. Really, really nice. Again, still a bit unusual and challenging smelling, but a very, very attractive smell overall. But again, they never smell like anything else, certainly not from designer houses and even from most niche houses. It's not what you're used to smelling. That will definitely be one to wear and people go, what's that? That's a really interesting and unusual smell. Macaque. We have one left, and that's Panda. Panda was originally released way back, I think in 2016 or something like that. Then they reformulated. It was very challenging when they first released it, and now they've got a new version which is much more wearable and likable. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if this is the Zoologist answer to Aventus, that could be a way of looking at it, in that it's a very fresh, appealing, possibly masculine leaning fragrance that I think anyone can wear and enjoy. The notes are apple, magnolia, mandarin, lily, osmanthus, ozone, tea, amber, bamboo, earthy notes, jasmine, orris, patchouli, civet, musk, sandalwood and vanilla. It's got a freshness about it, the apple, there's this brightness, this almost synthetic, one of the more synthetic smelling ones actually to me, kind of ambroxan or something might be getting used in there, I think maybe. It's bright, it's breezy, there's a kind of woody undertone to it. There is a slight hint of the exotic, some sweetness in there as well. It lasts really well and it smells actually really, really great. It does not anymore, as it did in the first iteration, smell a bit like a cage for a panda in a zoo. There's nothing weird about this one. And I find it very, very appealing indeed. One of the more wearable ones from Zoologist. Great performance, great freshie. Still though, nothing like, you know, I said Aventus, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek in a way. It's nothing like anything else you're ever going to smell. So well worth checking out. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what you thought of my picks and of Claire's. I think we'll let her, hopefully she's cooled off now and detoxed a bit out in her garden. So I guess we'll let her back on her own channel. And so it's over to Claire.
Hello, so I've just wrestled my channel back from Dan, the cheeky bugger. Can't believe he took over my channel. But anyway, great subject, I think. Best spring fragrances from Zoologist. And here's mine. So you've had Dan's already. So here's mine. And we'll start with this one here, which is Nightingale. Lovely pink juice in there, as you can see. This is a really musky one. It's musky and powdery with plum blossom. There is a touch of oud in here. I don't really pick up on it, but I think what it does is it gives you this density in the base. It's rich, it's a little bit fruity, it's vintage feeling, it's really refined and elegant. Because it's floral and you have this plum blossom, it just brings a bit of a spring feel without actually being one of those fresh floral fragrances that you might usually expect in spring. So this one's got a lot more density to it, a lot more base, and I feel like it's a great spring evening fragrance or colder spring day. It's quite a strong fragrance, it's very loud, it projects really well, and because it has this deepness to it, I feel like it's perfect on those colder spring days when you want something that's going to be a bit further reaching. It feels very elegant. It's probably leaning a touch feminine because the floral element is quite strong and it's quite powdery, but there's no reason why you couldn't wear this no matter how you define yourself. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So that's my number 3. My number 2 spot goes to Chameleon. Chameleon is predominantly ylang with a whole host of other notes in it. It's extremely tropical, it's fresh floral, gives you beach vibes. I think there's a bit of coconut, there's definitely a few different exotic fruits going on in here, and you almost get a warm sand feel as well. So this takes me to a tropical island and it is absolutely beautiful. It's really long lasting, it's fresh but it's quite sweet, and it's very playful, it's very colourful. There's a reason why you have a multitude of colours, a kaleidoscope of colours, because it is extremely colourful, and it's happy making, but there's nothing weird in here to confuse anyone. It's very likable. It's one of the Zoologists that's very likable. If you like a beachy type scent and you want something a little more unusual, then I think Chameleon is perfect. And my final one, and this is last and actually my favourite, and I think it's perfect for spring, even though it's actually fantastic in cold weather, and some people might think it's too dense or too sweet for spring. I wore it in January on the island of Madeira and we had fantastic weather. It was more like a really good spring days. Most days I got a tan and I went to the beach, so that's how nice and warm it was. And I wore this several times. I took a decant with me, and it's B, and I wore that day and night, and it was perfect. I knew it would be. I just had this feeling. Victor sent that to me in the winter and I loved it, but I really wanted to try it in the spring. I just felt that the heat was going to do something to it, and it is absolutely stunning in the heat. It's got this honeycomb-like feel to it. Bloody aeroplanes. We'll let that pass. See you later, guys. Not sure if I caught that or not. Anywho, B. It has this smell that's like the inside of a crunchy bar. I don't know if you have that where you are, but here in the UK, crunchy bar is honeycomb bar, and it has on the outside a layer of chocolate. Mmm, yummy scrummy. I don't get chocolate from it, but I get the inside of the crunchy bar. So it's got even the texture of that honeycomb, and it's sweet like the honeycomb. And there's some ginger syrup in here, which is really lovely. You get this zingy syrupy opening. Sometimes ginger can come off soapy in some fragrances. It does not do that here. This is not a natural ginger, like you've just taken a lump of natural ginger and chopped it up, or you know what you do with it, grate it. It's not like that. it's sweetened and it's made into a syrup. That's why it's called ginger syrup as a note. And when the fragrance dries down, so first it's really very vibrant, very vibrant. I think there might be citruses in the opening as well, but which just give it this zing, like this absolute zing. And then when it dries down, there's a gorgeous heliotrope note, which is that almondy floral that I love, that can be a bit powdery. There's some vanilla. It's a touch incensey. I had someone smell it in Madeira and they said it smelled incensey. So it is a little bit incensey, and it does have a honey feel, even though there's no listed note of honey. There's beeswax, but there's no honey note. It does have a bit of a honeyed feel to it, as you would expect with a fragrance called Bee. And it's really, really happy making. It blooms in the warm weather. It absolutely blooms. Some might find it a little too sweet for warm weather. That's a matter of taste, and it's very subjective. For me, I love it, absolutely love it when the weather warms up. I find it sexy and alluring and edible, and I feel very, very confident when I'm wearing it. So it's absolutely my favourite Zoologist spring fragrance is Bee. And just a little note, if you are looking to purchase anything from Zoologist, samples, travel sizes or full bottles, and I always advise you to test first, the best bet is actually to purchase directly from Zoologist. I did have a look. There's one stockist here in the UK, but they're quite a bit more expensive. Even if you order directly from Victor and have to pay the shipping, you're much better off. Not only that, Victor samples are 2 mils and they come in beautiful packaging themselves. You get the proper official sample in the beautiful card. Whereas if you order a sample from the UK, then you will end up with 1 mil in a plastic sample vial, and you'll pay a lot more for it as well. So if you are interested in checking out Zoologist, then I would advise using his website directly. That is definitely the best option. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tolerating Dan taking over my channel, and I've now got it back. So for you to that, I thought it was going to start talking about clones for a minute. So that is all. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.